In this video, we're going to look at adding some basic AI to our level so that we have something to shoot at and maybe get them to shoot at us a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do is go over to our roll-up bar, to Objects, to AI, and we're going to go to Navigation area. Let's make sure that our Follow Terrain is on. Click on our navigation area, and we're going to create an area that we want our little guy to run around in. And double click to finish. Now we can roll down a little bit. Height of 3 is fine, but let's display filled like we did with our sound things so we can see what's going on. And that's just fine. Now in affected agent types, the guy we're going to bring in is a character they call Grunt, and he is a medium-sized character, so we want to check this to true. Now, after that, we're going to create a forbidden area so that he doesn't get all bound up on our house. So we're going to go back up, click on AI again, click forbidden area, and now we're going to navigate. This can be a little bit trickier. We will create this little area here. And now we've got that. Now we can take that height up to 3 so we can see what's going on. And display filled. And hopefully that'll show up. Whenever I'm running my recording stuff, I have some issues with this stuff showing up all the time. But hopefully that'll work for us. So we'll just move on from there. Now the next thing we want to do is bring in our grunt. So we're going to go to Entity this time, AI, down to Grunt. Let's check this again. Drag our guy in here. That should be just fine. We can always rotate him a bit. Good to go there. Let's uncheck auto disable. And then we can come down here, and depending on what you want to do under factions, we've got a pull down here. You can make him civilian, player, grunt, assassins, which will change his behavior a bit and determine whether or not he's going to attack you. We're going to leave it on grunts because we want him to do that. Alright, now over here, where later we're going to be coming in, we want to put in a trigger area. So let's go back up, go to Entity, scroll down, and down here under Triggers, we're going to grab Proximity Trigger, bring this in, set that down. And it looks like pretty much the X direction. We can scroll down over here. In dimension X, let's make that, 30? That should do fine. Basically just so we pass through it when we're coming over this way. Alright, now let's go over to our grunt. Oh, hang on, I forgot one thing. Now we also need some places for our grunt to go. So we're going to go back to AI again. This time we're going to select tag point. And we'll just put in 2 for now. So we'll click one down, hit Control C to copy, put in another one, and I guess, yeah, 2's fine. That'll do for this. Alrighty. Now we will select our grunt, and let's scroll way down here. And we're going to click Create Flow Graph. Now, Flow Graph is kind of like if you've used UDK, it's kind of like a visual scripting there. Now if you've set up a layer for AI or something like that, you can start to set up different flow graphs for that stuff too. by just giving them a name here. Since this is really all in this class I'll be doing with the flow graph, I'm not going to bother with that. And then I'm going to figure out where my flow graph went. There we go. It's way down at the bottom of my thing. Alright, now we kind of want to see what we're doing here. So I'm going to bring that down a bit. Now, first thing we're going to do, select our trigger over here. Then in our flow graph, we're going to put add selected entity, which gives us a proximity trigger in here, which is just fine. Then we're going to go to our tag point, our first one, and you can see these little arrows on here. They don't really determine anything as far as his movement. If you had a lot of them covering the level, you could use your rotate tool to move these and say point to the next ones off over here, so it's easier for people to find, but it's really all they do. So now we're going to select that, and we're also going to add that selected entity. And then we're going to right click inside our flow graph. We're going to go to add node, AI go to. And then over here we're going to right click and we're just going to click add start node. Now you can go to add node, miscellaneous, start. We can just add start node here. And that gets us set up there. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, take our start node and we're going to go from our output to our enable on our proximity trigger. And you just click down on the box and drag. Then we're going to drag this tag point down a little bit. And we're going to go from enter, once we enter into this, and we're going to sync that with our AI go to. That's when we want him to start walking. Now, while we're over here, we want to select our grunt, right click, put assign selected entity, so the AI go to knows who it's talking to. And then we also want to go from our tag point, this first tag point, click on position and bring it over position on the AI go to. So far so good. Alright, I'm going to bring this up a little bit, give ourselves a little bit of room. And then I'm going to maneuver myself a little here. So we've got our second tag point. Now, once he gets to the first tag point, we want him to move over to the second tag point. So we're going to select our tag point and also our AI go to over here. Hit Control C, and then down here Control V to paste those. And you can always bring this graph out. Now we need to select our second tag point here, and then on this entity we're going to right click over the tag point 01 and turn it into tag point 02. We're going to bring our position to our position just like we did before, only this time from going from our trigger we're going to go from over here on our AI go to, which is attached to our first tag point, and once he succeeds in reaching that, we're going to sync him to the next one. And you could set up multiple tag points and basically copy this down from there. So now we've got our points ready to go. So let's give this a little bit of a test, and let's go over here past our trigger. And let's go in. Now we should have ran through our trigger there. And you can see in the distance, there's our guy. He's doing his little walk. Now, as soon as he sees us, that's going to break all that and there I killed him. That's going to break everything we programmed and put him into combat mode. And basically, with the scripting that he's already got, he's just going to try and chase us down and shoot us. But everything was working correctly. He was well on his way. If he had reached that point, he would have stopped. And once he saw us, then he would have started chasing us. So now we've managed to get our AI all set up and ready to go. In our next video, we're going to look at putting in a spawn point. See you there.